Donald Trump just got hit with a double roast special, and it's glorious and absolutely brutal. First, George Clooney took a break from being effortlessly cool to drag Trump like a bad movie review. And then, Jimmy Kimmel piled on with jokes so savage, even Fox News might pretend they didn't hear them. If you love watching Trump get torched by Hollywood's finest, you're in for a treat. Let's break it all down.
Tonight is a special night at the White House. It's Donald and Melania's 20th wedding anniversary. 20 years is a long time, especially for Melania. This morning, Trump paid tribute to his longest-serving wife by reposting this AI image of himself with a lion.
George Clooney and Jimmy Kimmel just obliterated Donald Trump. And folks, it was a masterpiece. It was like watching a Michelin star chef fillet a soggy McDonald's burger. Effortless, precise, and devastatingly hilarious. Clooney, the silver fox of Hollywood, sat there with the confidence of a man who's won Oscars while Trump was out here losing lawsuits. And Kimmel? The guy practically has a PhD in roasting Trump at this point. If Trump is a clown, Kimmel is the entire circus, making sure we get front row seats to the best act in town.
If I was going to make stuff up about him, I'd start telling people he wears diapers. I would explain that it's a long trial. He drinks a lot of Diet Cokes to stay awake. He's getting up there in years, and it's perfectly normal for a man of Trump's age and carriage to wear absorbent undergarments to stop the leaks. So, I mean, if I was making stuff up, that I would point out that the reason he stands like this and golfs like this and plays tennis like this is because he has a full diaper strapped around his little mushroom garden, okay?
Please subscribe for more. It takes 2 seconds and helps us a lot. Let's start with Clooney. Oh boy. Trump once called him not very smart. That's like a goldfish calling Michael Phelps a bad swimmer. Clooney responded by reminding everyone that Trump was literally a failed casino owner. That's right, a casino. A business where people voluntarily throw money away, and he still couldn't make it work. Imagine being so bad at business that people handing you their cash isn't enough to keep the lights on.
Call Trump in 5 words.
I can't.
It's too many words.
It's 4 too many words. I think just ultimately in over his head, in a devastating way. Unqualified.
That's a good one.
Then Clooney went in even deeper, taking his shot without hesitation. He called Trump a knucklehead. And honestly, that might be far too generous. A knucklehead, at the very least, has a functioning knuckle. Trump, on the other hand, seems like the kind of guy who'd forget which hand to shake with if someone didn't whisper it in his ear first. He's the guy who'd confidently walk into a revolving door and somehow still get stuck. The type to put on Velcro shoes and still manage to tie them in a knot. A man who probably reads the instructions on a shampoo bottle every single time he showers. Clooney didn't just throw shade, he pulled out an umbrella, set up a whole canopy, and invited the world to watch. If Trump thought that was a compliment, he'd better check if someone swapped his briefing notes with a kindergarten coloring book.
Because, he was just this knucklehead. I knew him before he was, a president. He was just a guy who was chasing girls. Every time you went out, he'd come over and be like, what's the name of that girl?
Jimmy Kimmel, never one to hold back, was in rare form as he sharpened his comedic knives to fillet Trump like a well-done steak drowned in ketchup. He didn't just stop at the usual jabs. Oh no, he went for the nuclear roast. He compared Trump's intelligence to a half-eaten bag of Cheetos left in the sun, and honestly, the similarities were uncanny. Think about it. Both are artificially orange, both crumble under pressure, and both leave an embarrassing mess wherever they go.
Every mistake now he'll claim was AI. Eric, Don Jr. He said artificial intelligence was used by them against me in their videos of me. Can't do that, Joe. Which the idea that Joe Biden did that, Joe Biden can't unlock his phone without accidentally taking 3 pictures. Let's be honest. Joe Biden, don't worry about Joe Biden using AI. You worry about us using AI because we will not use it subtly. We will use it to make you look like a chubby German boy eating pudding by himself, or a human chicken McNugget, or the god of diarrhea.
But Kimmel wasn't done. He pointed out that just like a forgotten bag of Cheetos, Trump's ideas were stale, full of artificial flavoring and dangerously addictive to the wrong crowd. And much like how no one really wants that last soggy, sun-melted Cheeto America 2, might be looking at Trump and thinking, yeah, we should probably throw this away before it does more damage. Of course, Trump supporters fired back, probably while licking their fingers covered in metaphorical and literal orange dust. But Kimmel? He just shrugged and prepared for the next round, knowing full well that when it comes to roasting, Trump provides enough material to keep the fire burning forever.
Every time.
And by every time, he means no times. He loves telling this made-up story. Never did I ever stand on the sidewalk to greet Donald Trump or any guests. Never happened to... You guys here in the studio have been out on that sidewalk. You think I'm going out there? No way. Our guests don't even come in from the sidewalk. They come in through the alley in the back, where I also don't stand out there to greet them. The only time I've ever walked out on the sidewalk for Donald Trump was to urinate on his star on the Walk of Fame.
One of the best moments? When Clooney pointed out how Trump brags about his intelligence while making spelling mistakes in every Truth Social post. COVFEFE wasn't a typo, folks. It was a cry for help. The man tweets like a malfunctioning Roomba trying to clean a sentence. Clooney even joked that Trump's ghostwriter must be a toddler with an etch-a sketch. In a moment of pure, unfiltered Hollywood savagery, George Clooney just delivered the verbal haymaker of the decade, calling Donald Trump a dumphery. Not dumb, not fed, but an entire state of being. A noun, a verb, a tragicomedy, all in one. It happened during an interview when Clooney, sipping on what we can only assume was a $500 bottle of tequila, was asked about Trump's latest meltdown. Without missing a beat, he leaned back, smirked, and said, "It's just dumb theory at this point. The man is like a malfunctioning AI that only runs on Diet Coke and rage."
Of invaluable knowledge gathered over centuries are now threatened by an epidemic of dumb idiots saying dumb.
You know what this is? It's a snowball. So it's very, very cold out.
Dumb is highly contagious, infecting the minds of even the most stable geniuses.
If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, they say the noise causes cancer. You tell me that one, okay?
The internet exploded. Memes of Trump's hair morphing into a tumbleweed surfaced. Someone even photoshopped a fake dictionary entry. Dumphery. See Donald J. Trump came the golden moment. Clooney absolutely annihilated Trump's love for gold-plated everything. You know, the guy who thinks slapping gold on a toilet makes it classy. Clooney said Trump's taste is what happens when you give a used car salesman unlimited money. And let's be honest, Trump's aesthetic is exactly that. Vegas casino meets grandma's living room with a side of, "I ordered this from Wish." Kimmel took it even further. He joked that Trump's idea of sophistication is putting ketchup on a steak while drinking Diet Coke from a wine glass. At this point, Trump's lifestyle choices are so tragic, they should have their own Shakespearean play. The Tragedy of Donald the Broke, a tale of gold, toilets, and bankruptcy.
Donald Trump had an audience for what turned out to be a historic speech. No president in the history of this country has ever taken a weirder drink of water than this. Is that one of the side effects of hydroxy? I mean, what is up with his hand? Did he hurt it holding the Bible upside down? Let's look at that again, because there's clearly something going on. It's weak. And this is not the first time we've seen this. This clip's from November of 2017. You can see here, he managed to open the water bottle, but then he needed two hands to drink it. And then next month, this happened again. He's what is he doing? He's like a witch sipping out of a goblet full of toadstools or something. And he had another weird move.
And let's not forget the legal troubles. Clooney said Trump has had more lawsuits than he's had marriages, which is saying something. The man treats lawsuits like Pokemon cards. He's got to catch them all. Kimmel chimed in, saying Trump's legal team is the only group working harder than his hairstylist. And honestly, facts. But here's where Clooney really hit home. He said Trump's biggest fear isn't prison. It's a room full of people who don't laugh at his jokes. Because let's be real, Trump thinks he's hilarious. but only in a way where your uncle tells bad jokes at Thanksgiving and you have to fake laugh to avoid an awkward silence. And speaking of comedy, Kimmel called Trump's rally speeches the worst stand-up routine in history.
He has a plan, says that over and over and over again.
We have no choice but to absolutely replace Obamacare, and we're going to come up with a much better plan. We're going to come up with a great health plan, and this is a great plan. Wait till you see the plans we have coming out, literally.
2019, we still haven't seen a plan for health. If someone who works for you, well, let's say it's your barber, promises to present you with a plan for trimming your hair over and over again for 9 years and never does, you'd probably fire that person. You'd probably get a new barber because your hair would be down to your ass. Donald Trump.
Now, Donald Trump's entire career has been built on deception, and now the lies are finally catching up to him. The lawsuits, the criminal charges, the investigations, how much more evidence does anyone need? The man has spent decades dodging accountability, but the walls are closing in. And the best part? He did this to himself. Let's talk about the sheer insanity of Trump's defense every time he gets caught. The classified documents case, oh, they were just souvenirs. He didn't incite anything. He was just passionately speaking to his supporters. His fraud trial, he claims his properties are worth whatever number he feels like that day. It's like watching a 5-year-old try to lie his way out of stealing cookies. But instead of cookies, it's national security, democracy, and the economy he's playing with.
I think, you know what, it's his empathy I admire the most, really. But it wasn't all gloom and doom. MAGA Teresa believes this country is feeling real good.
Good things are going to happen because our country's got some big headaches, but we have tremendous spirit right now. The spirit is as high as it's been. It was up 49 points this morning. 49 points. It's never been. It's the biggest increase in the history of whatever the poll was.
The poll is the spirit poll. Gallup does it every year. They call you, they say, hey, we've got spirit. Yes, we do. We've got spirit. How about you?
And let's not forget the hypocrisy. Trump built his brand on pretending to be a successful businessman, but the numbers tell a different story. Failed casinos, a scam university, multiple bankruptcies. He even managed to tank a football league. Who loses money on football in America? It's almost impressive in a tragic kind of way. And yet, his supporters still believe the myth of Trump, the self-made billionaire. He's about as self-made as a reality show contestant who gets eliminated in the first episode but still insists they won. And speaking of reality TV, isn't it hilarious that the guy who was famous for firing people now can't seem to hold on to a decent legal team? One lawyer after another jumps ship because representing Trump is like playing Jenga with dynamite. First, they defend him, then they realize he's guilty, then they quit before they go down with the ship. Rudy Giuliani, bankrupt. Sidney Powell, pleading guilty. Even his own accountants turned on him. If your financial team is willing to testify against you, maybe, just maybe, you're not as rich or honest as you claim.
I think that plastic's going to affect a shark very much as they're munching their way through the ocean.
And let's talk about how fragile his ego is. This is a man who spent 4 years as president, yet he's still obsessed with crowd sizes and Twitter insults. Oh, sorry, Truth Social insults. He tried to make his own social media platform because he got banned everywhere else. That's like getting kicked out of every bar in town and opening your own so you can keep drinking. It's not a power move, it's pathetic. You know what else is pathetic? His whole law and order shtick. The guy who brags about law and order is the same guy who paid hush money to a porn star, got sued for fraud, and led a mob to the Capitol. It's like the Joker running on a no-crime platform. And let's not even start on the way he dodges taxes. The man who claims to love America contributes less to it than a teenager with a summer job. Meanwhile, he wants to cut programs for regular people while handing tax breaks to billionaires like himself. Classic Trump, always looking out for the little guy as long as the little guy owns a private jet.
I didn't think people would vote for someone who was so deeply flawed. I know Donald Trump. That's the thing is people, I have his phone number in my phone book. He was the guy that came to the bars and asked me about which cocktail waitress was single. That's who he was.
This was back in the 90s.
Not that long, no, back in the 2000s, quite honestly. And so there's this part of you that just goes, well, that guy shouldn't be president. But I was wrong, and he was, and our democracy, I believe, paid a price certainly around the world. And I worry about the possibility. I don't think it's as good as some people are afraid of, but I do worry about it. I think we're in a time where we need to, we need some interesting candidates all around the board. I think,
Democratic side as well.
Sure. Yeah, we need interesting candidates out there.
And let's be real, Trump isn't some brilliant strategist. He's not playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. He's flipping the board over and crying that the game is rigged. Every legal case, every scandal, every failure, it's never his fault. It's the media. It's the deep state. It's windmills. Yes, windmills. The guy who had access to nuclear codes thinks wind turbines are killing whales. Meanwhile, his own party is slowly trying to distance themselves from him, but they're too scared to say it out loud. It's like they're in a horror movie and Trump is the villain, but instead of running, they just stand there saying, maybe he won't see us. Let's not forget the latest nonsense. He's now claiming he's being persecuted more than anyone in history.
If Donald Trump wins, have you thought about the possibility he might use the power of the federal government against you personally?
Yeah, I have, but I'm comforted in the fact that he's coming after you first.
That makes you feel better?
Yeah. You know that theory about you don't have to be faster than the bear, you just have to be faster than the one kid? You're that one kid, pal.
I'm the kid. Yeah. I'm the slow boy. Yeah. Trump is a big fan of yours. I don't know if you've seen this, but he posted in July. So now fake movie actor George Clooney, he doesn't know that movies are fake, does he?
I don't think so.
Who never
Hannibal
came
Lecter
close
is his
to making a great movie, is getting into the act. He's turned on Crooked Joe like the rats they both are.
And what's his grand plan for 2024? More revenge, more whining, and the same old greatest hits. The election was stolen, fake news, witch hunt. He's like a washed-up musician playing the same 3 songs from 2016, hoping people still care. Meanwhile, his supporters are sending him money for legal fees while he's out there golfing. He's not fighting for America. He's fighting to stay out of prison. Big difference. It's honestly exhausting watching the same cycle play out over and over. Trump does something terrible. Everyone calls him out. His fans pretend it didn't happen. And then a month later, he's in even more trouble. It's like a bad reality show that refuses to get canceled. But here's the good news. Every day, more people are waking up to the con. The lawsuits are piling up, the walls are closing in, and sooner or later, even Trump won't be able to lie his way out of it. And when that day comes, you know what he'll do? Blame everyone but himself. The deep state, the media, the weather, probably even Barron. But the truth is simple. Donald Trump built a house of cards, and now it's finally collapsing. And honestly, it's about time. And there you have it. George Clooney and Jimmy Kimmel roasting Trump so hard you can practically smell the burnt spray tan. A Hollywood icon and a late-night legend teaming up to do what America does best, laugh at Donald Trump. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. More videos are on screen now.